DiJonai Carrington is looking around the room like, oh my God, I've never been in this much fire. I mean, it's getting so bad that now her endorsements are potentially about to pull out on representing DiJonai Carrington.
This just goes to show that DiJonai has no self-awareness in what's going on. DiJonai Carrington runs on threads immediately. White privilege at Indiana Fever. White privilege. You running around with blonde hair. It look like you trying to be white. It look like you trying to be a white girl. What are you talking about white privilege? The white girl just got a technical foul for something she didn't even do. What are you talking about white privilege, bro? This is why she should be banned from the league. They always run.
It states here, Reebok is reportedly dropping their endorsement for DiJonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Let's go.
DiJonai Carrington just watched her entire career start to unravel in the span of 1 week. And the wildest part is that, according to this narrative, she did much of the damage to herself. This isn't simply a story about a referee making a bad call or a league unfairly targeting one player. It's about a hard foul that could have faded from the headlines after a single news cycle, but instead turned into a full-blown reputation crisis because of the choices Carrington made in the hours and days that followed.
See what happened when this young lady got ejected from a WNBA game the other day for a flagrant foul on Sophie Cunningham? Did y'all see that? She got ejected from the game for that flagrant foul right there, and I'll be damned if that wasn't a flagrant too. She mugged her. Damn near came across like decapitating her, for crying out loud. That was definitely a hard foul. Make no mistake about it. Nobody can argue about it. You can say what you want. We know what we saw. No way around it. The DiJonai Carrington foul was clearly unnecessary. It was a flagrant foul penalty too. It was absolutely positively correct call. It was called the flagrant two. That's a flagrant two every single damn time in the NBA and the
Late in the first quarter of a nationally televised matchup between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham took off on a fast break for what looked like an easy layup. Instead, DiJonai Carrington came from behind and made contact across Cunningham's head and neck area, sending her crashing to the floor. Officials reviewed the play and upgraded the call to a flagrant foul penalty too, resulting in Carrington's immediate ejection. As Carrington walked toward the locker room, the broadcast cameras captured the tense moment, setting the stage for a controversy that would continue long after the final whistle.
Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this, she fouled Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously white person, fouled her hard. Flagrant two, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant two has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. DiJonai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was...
Now, here's where DiJonai Carrington had a choice to make. And she made the wrong one almost instantly. Minutes after being escorted off the court, before she'd even reached the locker room, she posted, "White privilege," on social media and tagged the Fever directly. No context, no explanation, just two loaded words thrown into a national controversy that already had Sophie Cunningham's name attached to it from an unrelated debate about transgender athletes in women's sports. Carrington then followed it up by posting the date of the next Sky Fever matchup with a smiley face emoji, which read to many people less like an accident and more like someone deliberately poking the bear.
Say that this is black privilege, to be totally honest with you, because her posting this white racist comment right after assaulting Sophie Cunningham on the court is actually black privilege, because she knows the WNBA won't do a single thing of significance about it. And imagine if the roles were reversed. If Sophie made a comment similar to this, then she'd likely never play again. And actually, we just saw this from Coach Sandy Brondello. She got disciplined for making, I believe, a pretty innocent, maybe, offhand comment about talking about Angel Reese and saying that she's a protected species. She was suspended and disciplined. And I think if that's the standard, then DiJonai...
Think about the optics of that sequence for a second. A player gets ejected for a flagrant foul, and instead of taking a breath, she immediately reaches for one of the most loaded phrases in the modern cultural conversation and posts it without explanation. Whatever she actually meant by it, and she would later offer different explanations. The first impression for millions of people was that she might be suggesting the officiating or disciplinary response was connected to race. That's an enormous implication to make, even indirectly, and once something like that is posted publicly, it's difficult to completely take back no matter how much clarification follows.
Is this all some sort of bizarre PR strategy to attract eyeballs, or is the WNBA fundamentally broken?
No. That's you because you're a good person trying to find some kind of rational reason for doing this other than what it is. It's pure and simple racism and hate. They're mad that the best player in the league is a heterosexual white woman. Let's just be honest. She's not one of the confidants in their creed. And so therefore it's been a concentrated effort to go after her. Even her head coach doesn't stand by. So, and I think it's hilarious, and at the same time, they don't know what a woman is. And I'm very proud of Freedom and other gentlemen for finding out who they are. And I wish them the best. And hopefully the league will, since it's an all-tolerant league and their head coaches wear shirts about trans women count. Well, here's two. And I hope they give them their opportunity. And the young lady in France as well. So I think it's a league that has got away with being racist and disgusting to people. And now they're Americans are smart to it. So hopefully they get some of their own, but I wouldn't let my daughters watch.
That post did not stay contained. It spread across basketball social media within hours, and the story quickly shifted from a hard foul to a much broader debate about race, intent, and whether Carrington was using a serious phrase to defend her actions. Instead of the conversation focusing solely on a flagrant foul that could happen in any game, attention turned to whether Carrington had implied bias from the officiating crew or the league without providing clear evidence. National outlets picked up the controversy, and sports talk shows debated it the following morning. By that point, the discussion was no longer just about basketball.
If we are paying attention to what DiJonai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham, it was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever. So to me, it was just very ignorant and to some degree asinine by DiJonai Carrington to suggest that that call was based on white privilege. Have we seen examples of white players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. Have we seen examples of black players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. There was no white privilege involved in that specific call. DiJonai, you hit her in the head and you drew blood.
Then the backlash found a face. Former NFL player and media personality Emmanuel Aiko went on his own show and criticized the post directly. He argued that Carrington had hit Cunningham in the head, caused bleeding, and never made contact with the ball, calling it ignorant and, in his words, asinine to frame that specific foul as an example of white privilege. That carried significant weight because Aiko has a major sports media platform, turning the criticism into a much larger public conversation. And once that clip began circulating, it became a soundbite that could follow Carrington long after the original foul. Carrington then pushed back directly on X, writing that she had never claimed the foul assessment itself was white privilege and accusing Aiko of making that assumption. She also defended her education and said she would not use such a serious phrase as a rhetorical weapon without evidence. But the response created another layer of controversy. Instead of simply clarifying what she meant, the exchange became increasingly combative, leaving fans debating not only the original post, but also Carrington's handling of the criticism.
Single game for the rest of the season counts, and the fact that she let her hate and her ego cost the game for her entire team is so toxic. It goes to show that she has very little respect for her teammates because they all work their absolute asses off. They've all got something to prove. They know that, they started the season with all this hype. They didn't kick it off very strong. And so they have all been working their asses off, coming together, playing patiently. When I say patiently, they've been playing patiently, learning how to actually run the court together. There's a lot of new pieces. There's been some injuries. There's been people returning from injury. There's been a lot of changes. The fact that they were just on the rise, and as a Fever fan, I can say they were actually schooling us in the first quarter. They came back when we were up 8 points. DiJonai herself was bawling out. and she just cost the game.
2 days later, standing in front of reporters before Chicago's game against Seattle, Carrington offered a third version of her explanation. This time, she described the foul itself as unfortunate and unintentional, attributing the timing to rust after returning from a foot injury. But when asked about the white privilege post, her answer became vague. She said she had already spoken with people who had the authority to make the changes she wanted, without clearly explaining what the original post meant or who it was directed toward. That left 3 different pieces of the story circulating at once. The foul was an unfortunate competitive play, the white privilege post supposedly wasn't about the foul, and her response to critics defended the very post she said was being misunderstood. For reporters, fans, and brand partners, the lack of a clear and consistent explanation only created more questions. And that's why the controversy continued to grow long after the original foul.